Thank you, Rom. Uh, this topic of promoting equitable development and address climate change, I'd like to put them in two main pillars. The first one is guided in compliance with the environmental justice. That's the first one, in order to achieve this. And second one is the respect and know the role of the indigenous people and the local communities, or the IPLC is normally called. So on the guided by compliance with the environmental justice, this will apply to the infrastructure. It includes the industries, like big scale industries, like power generation. And also now we have all this, what they call this coal mine. And then we have big smelting plant. And then we have big, this land dredging and this sand dredging and all the other thing. And of course, it includes the big scale agriculture, like oil palm plantation and all the others. So these things, if you look at them, a lot of these industries, especially in Sarawak, for example, is one classic example where there is lack of transparency. There is, with regard to the, what do you call this, the environmental impact assessment, it is not open for public scrutiny. And then if you require it, only the people whom they consider as directly impacted by this have access to it, but they don't even them, they don't have a copy as they require. And then of course, if you want to read it, you have to go to the government office to read it, and you try to bring it out so that you can photostat it, you are not allowed to do that. So there is a lot of constraint, a lot of things that are done without proper consultation, without the free, prior, and informed consent, and all that. This is not not very good for our, if you want to achieve the sustainable development. And then of course, as you see it, a lot of these industries are in the rural areas, remote rural areas. They build big mega dams, and then now they have this coal power plant, and they have coal mine, and like in West Malaysia, they have a gold mine where they have toxic waste and all that. Where do they discharge this? How is it being disposed? And all this, some of this classified material and all that. So these are things that we have to watch out, because that will impact the climate change and also the environment. And of course, by big clearance to plant monoculture plantations and all that, that will impact the biodiversity, and of course all the other impact as well. You can see it in all over. I think the same thing in Sabah, in Semenanjung, in Sarawak here. At the moment, we are facing with a lot of erosion, landslide, and then properties are damaged. The whole village has to move out because they experience frequent flood. During the last 4 months, they have 5-6 times flooded. So this is just impossible, because it affects their livelihood, it affects their property and all that. So, and then, but the thing is, if you're talking about justice, where does all this money go? The money that they get from all this plantation, the money they get from the logging, the money they get from the quarry and all that, it goes to the urban areas. And even in the urban areas, it goes to a few people who own big corporates and all that. Some of them, like our friend Anil was mentioning, probably they're stashing the money out overseas. So that is the problem. If you go and trace this company, they have their registration in the British Virgin Island and all these things. So that's how they are trying to hide. So this is injustice. So it's also impacting the climate change. It impacts our the national wealth and all that. And then the second one is the the indigenous people and local community, the IPLC. These are the people who are living in these areas you're talking about. And they, the land are often being trespassed. We have among the highest number of land dispute in this country, where the ownership of land is not recognized. There is no proper mapping yet, no proper demarcation. And when they do that, they impose a law which is, the local people is impacting their custom and culture. The way they interpret the land court and all that is totally different, but they disregard this, so and a lot of these people are suffering. They are suffering on their own land. Some of them are, they are, they are compromised. Some of them, the oil palm plantation maybe about 30, 40 meters behind their house. And I've seen villages where the village is right in the middle of an oil palm plantation. So I think the best thing to solve this is abide by the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous People, the UNRIPS, where they have 8 points, to where this thing is being recognized, and Malaysia, is part of this. They have signed this UNRIP as well. So we have to do what we promised at the what they call the international community that we are going to do. And remember, this is a summary that the indigenous people, the APLC, the area, pristine area is being conserved, the primary forest area, 80% of it are in the territory of the IPLC. But IPLC comprises only 5% of the total global population. So in other words, what the IPLC have been practicing because of their belief, because of their religious observance and all the other thing, they managed to conserve this. So therefore, the authority have to recognize the role that is played by the IPLC and encourage them and see how we can help them and not try to rob them of their rights. Thank you very much.